The River Valley Pantry 2023 cereal drive is now underway.
23 News reporter Jim Haggerty learns why there's bigger need than ever before, making this year's drive vital to those in need.
The River Valley Pantry has one goal for this year's cereal drive that kicked off on the 1st of the month.
We aim to fill the gap of getting a nutritious breakfast in the hands of kids in the morning before they go to school.
Unopened boxes of cereal are being accepted at Rock Valley's downtown facility and in donation barrels at 3 state line locations.
We were partnered with Valley Produce along with Rockford Community Bank. They have collection barrels at their site.
The need this year is tremendous, which is why the goal is to collect 3,000 boxes of cereal in the month of September.
From July of 2023 to July of 2022, we saw a huge increase in the number of 18 and under that we're serving, so a 250% increase.
Volunteers say it's no longer just the poor and needy who experience food insecurity.
It's amazing the number of people that still come in, even with unemployment so low.
There are times where if the families aren't getting food from the pantry, there is no other food.
Working for you in Rockford, Jim Haggerty, 23 News.
Cereal in the collection barrels are picked up daily and brought to the pantry for distribution.